Good morning, good afternoon, hello world. This is Alicia Marie Belshak. Hello, Life Mastery Consultant, world class um, paradigm helper, I guess you could call it. Someone who is helping you, guide you through the process of life and all of its fun challenges. Fun challenges, life struggles, and the things that happen to come into our life to help us grow. So once again, I'm Alicia Marie Belshak, Life Mastery Consultant, and I'm your guide for these conversations about standing firm when your world is shaking. My mission is to help you figure out how you can deliver your best self into this world so that you can deliver the gifts only you can do for this world. Because now more than ever, we need people who have come alive, who have turned their passions and their insights into things that make the world a way, way, way better place. And we need people who have been able to take the dark night of their soul and transform it into the message of hope and resilience and have the clarity, the clarity to be able to deliver what it is only they can deliver. That's you. That's you. That's me, but that's you. So welcome to week 9 of our Standing Firm conversations. We've been doing this 9 weeks. Can you believe that? 9 weeks of coming to you to help deliver a message of hope and of help during what can be some of the darkest times in our life. This pandemic has upset and changed everything, turned everything upside down. But we're not alone. You're not alone. We can do this together. And so I began conversations about standing firm when your world is shaking back in March or so, to be able to help create a conversation that isn't just about what's happening with the news, but what's happening with ourselves, so that we can turn all of this into something that's useful, productive, and most importantly, that carries us forward. Normally, standing firm when your world is shaking is a four-week class that I offer, and I have stretched it out, and I've added new things, and I've made a whole bunch of on the fly, kind of taking life's lessons as we go through this pandemic conversations. And if you would like to watch those recaps and replays, I have them over at well, of course, they're here on the Facebook page, but over at my YouTube channel, which the fastest way to get there is to go to this bit.ly link at Life Mastery TV, and you'll be able to see all the past episodes that I've uploaded. And what that lets you do is kind of catch up on some of those conversations we've had in the past as we've gone through this pandemic, and to see how we can use our various tools to help us even now as we move forward. And that's what I really want to talk to you about today. So welcome, welcome. I'm so happy you're here joining the conversations. I do come every Tuesday around the 10 o'clock time, because life happens and I have little ones home, and I'm sure anyone who's working from home understands that. So catch me in the 10 o'clock hour Eastern time for these critical conversations about standing firm. And if you're watching live, please go to this bit.ly link, go live reminder SF for standing firm, and you can get an email reminder when I'm planning to go live, so that you can be here and show up. And why do you want to show up? Because one is, it's a measure of success. It's a habit of success, so that You show up for you, you show up for your talents, your gifts, for the people you care about, and ultimately you show up for the world. 90% of success is just showing up. 10% is everything that happens after you show up. So come, show up live. The other reason is you want to show up live because I can actually pull up your comments on the screen like I'm doing with these other bits of information. And you can be a part of the conversation, which is what I really want. Ask questions, comments, interact. I also want to remind you that we are coming live because I find that conversation is a better way to approach some of this stuff. And my goal ultimately is to help 1,000,000 people by providing them a hand up with hope. That's what we're here to do, to talk about hope and resiliency in the face of uncertainty and what can feel like a crisis. But it's only a crisis if we decide it's going to take us down. We can also use crisis to pivot and to pull ourselves up. And that's what I really am encouraging everyone that I talk to, is to show up for themselves, because there's always someone you can reach a hand out to help to come up that mountain with you, to come up the ladder of awareness, to help those around you and the people that your life might touch, no matter where that is. So let's begin by reminding yourselves that we have something to be grateful for. Tune in this moment to something that you find some gratitude in. It might be that your world is filled with lots of uncertainty and you're shaking. Your boots might be shaking. You might be feeling dragged down and heavy. You might be feeling like everything's just caving in around you and there's way too many problems to deal with at one time. And even in the middle of all of that, I guarantee there's something to be grateful for. And therein, the gratitude helps pull us out of the problem and begin the process of rewiring our brain, rewiring our spirit, so that we can focus on the good and start to harvest that good in a whole new way. Gratitude puts us on a way of thinking, feeling, and being that is in harmony with the abundance that is already here all around us. And if you're feeling lack, if you're feeling constraint, if you're feeling frustration, if you're feeling even anger, if you're feeling lost in the storm of change and worried about money and worried about family dynamics and worried about putting food on the table, when you're in survival mode, it's very hard to think about much else and to really feel resonant with the abundance that is actually around you. And yet gratitude gives us the gift of being able to do that. So what are you grateful for today? I am grateful that you are here, whether you're watching live or on replay. Make sure you put that in the comments and let me know what it is you're grateful for. Because tuning in and writing it down and sharing it with someone actually raises your spirits, lifts your vibration, and turns you into a more receiving person, open to more opportunity. And in every moment, in every way, we can look for a little bit of gratitude. Today, I'm grateful I can breathe. For many, many people who may have been dealing with COVID-19, that was a big deal. To be grateful that I'm not sick, to be grateful that I can breathe, to be grateful that I have this gift of life. Because 87,000 people in the United States are no longer given that gift. And while that is so tragic and almost unimaginable, I can't even imagine that many people at one time, we also have lots and lots of people who have recovered. And lots of people who are wanting to turn this moment into a moment of hope and resilience so that we can move forward. So we're going to talk about how to use those brave thinking skills that help us actually do that reopening. But first, we begin with gratitude. I'm grateful today to be here with you. I'm grateful to be a person of increase. I'm grateful personally to be able to be on this mission of helping 1 million people. That's my goal, to reach 1 million people with a message of hope and inspiration, to help them understand themselves, understand their world, and understand their role in the world. That's you. Understand you, yourself, understand your world, and understand your role in it to make it a better place. I believe each one of us is a change agent and a leader, no matter what role we're in. So don't fool yourself that you are not a leader and that you don't have an impact. And one of the key lessons we've been talking about throughout this conversation of standing firm when your world is shaking is this idea that there is more to you than your problem. There's more to you than this pandemic, and there's certainly more to you than any circumstances or problems that are coming out of it because of it. It can feel like our world is shaking. It can feel like the storm is raging all around us. And that's why I talk about using ourselves to become the eye of the storm and learning how to tame that chaos, because chaos is the way the universe evolves anyway. So reminding ourselves, now that we've set ourselves into the vibration, the feeling tone of gratitude, and starting to open ourselves up beyond the constraint, know that you are more. And that whatever is happening in this moment, in this turbulent time, in the stormy seas, the content of your life really is the curriculum by which you will evolve. You will only evolve if you choose to evolve, by the way. But evolving must happen, because there's only two things that can happen in this moment as we start to look forward to reopening, as we start to pivot from just focusing on the crisis, which, by the way, the crisis hasn't left us just because we're reopening. Just because many, many states are reopening and businesses going back to being open doesn't mean we're going back to business as normal or as usual. There is no going back. The storm has come to change us. It must change us personally. It must change our systems. It must change our infrastructure. It must change the way we do things. Because if it doesn't, we will have missed the greatest gift that any challenge or problem or crisis can bring us. And that is the gift to evolve, to grow bigger than the problem. So don't fool yourself that just because we're reopening, that we're going back to business as usual. This is a new level of existence and a new level of business and a new level of interacting with one another. And we must continue to come from it with a mindset of care, compassion, and kindness. We're all dealing with new, uncertain territory. The storm isn't over yet. We're just in a lull. There could be a lot of different permutations and combinations and ways that this could still yet change. The crisis is not past us. We've just now begun to adapt to it. The evolution has begun. So knowing that this is our opportunity, we have a significant calling, the hero's calling, really, to learn to tame this chaos all around us and become the eye of the storm so that we can think with clarity and we can move forward with confidence and we can make decisions that are going to impact us for the good and those around us and hopefully our entire country and certainly our communities. So I have been using this idea of taming the chaos for a long time because my life was full of chaos and a lot of things. Every time I seemed to make a headway, it would be like 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, 2 steps forward, 5 steps back, 3 steps forward, maybe, and so you're always feeling like you're this tug of war, right? And the chaos, the internal chaos when you don't have some mastery over yourself and your emotions and your mindset. And how do you master your outside world? So I have been on this quest called life mastery, and my quest to master this thing called life for a long time. And not just because I've been living. Many, many, many people live, but never get around to mastering life and mastering themselves. They live in default mode. They live buffeted by the storm and waiting for the next lightning strike and feeling the doomsday and the pressure and just either coping by going comatose with food and fun and, video games and TV, gambling, drugs. I mean, all sorts of things people do to numb themselves, including alcohol. That's, in my book, that's another drug. I like to have a glass of wine and a good glass of beer sometimes, but it is a way to, if you're using it as a coping skill, to tune out and not tune in. They're very, very different. The opposite of what we should be doing. So we want to become the calm center of the storm in which we can see what's happening around us, but it's not necessarily happening to us. And it's certainly not taking over our experience. So if you're interested in learning more about those sorts of things, I have shared lots and written lots using these hashtags, Taming the Chaos and Eye of the Storm. So go search them up and see what you can find that will help further your journey and your path into inspiration and more into action, because information and inspiration without action is merely entertainment. We don't want to just keep going that route. We want to actually make it have an impact in our life and change something, see some transformation, because that's what we're here to do. Excuse me. So it's very important that we begin to pivot ourselves and our thinking. And we begin to look at what it is that's going on around us in a way that's dispassionate, neutralize the experience. So it's not emotionalized. We can make the storm of our life worse by being a part of the storm instead of being that eye of the storm where things are calm. So how do we do that? How do we go about doing that? There are several tools that we can use, some of which I have talked about, but mostly I would encourage you to drop me a line and I will walk you through a few processes that can actually help you, because it doesn't matter where you're going if you don't have a plan, if you don't say, this is where I want to go. So that's part of getting the clarity, is that we want to move forward. We want to move forward in a way that we can see where it is we're going, to have a destination. No sailor can use the winds of change or navigate, tacking back and forth, whatever it is they need to do. Can't even pull up the right sails or use the right rigging that they need without having a plan of a destination. And then the steps along the way will start to reveal themselves. So knowing that really makes a difference, because it takes the pressure off of us, doesn't it? It takes the pressure off. We don't have to do more than just our very, very best, whatever that is in the moment. It might not be perfect, for sure, but we are able to just kind of use what's going on around us to actually grow and be better. And I think that's a big relief, to be able to not feel like we have to control the winds, but that we're just using them to navigate. And that's the trick. So let's talk about this idea of hope and resilience and what it is that we're trying to accomplish, because that's what we're here to do today. This is a tulip. from my garden. And we had a bunch of rain this past few days. And now the tulips are all gone. Their flowers have all just, their petals have just fallen off. But this tulip was so beautiful and so red. I took a bunch of pictures of different tulips, but it seemed to be like a sign of hope for me and resilience. Here it is in the garden in the rain, and these the raindrops are sticking to it now afterwards, and it's a beautiful image of going through the storm and looking for the good, because there is some good. And that's one of the key questions we've been asking these last 9 weeks is, what possible good is here or could come to me because of this? And even though the storm can be difficult to navigate, it also brings life. It brings nourishment. The tulip needs water for its bulb to grow. And the tulip itself is like a gift of spring. It's a gift of renewed life after in Michigan, a long winter sometimes. And it's not dead, it's dormant. Its bulb lies under the ground 6 or more inches down where the frost can't get to it, and it survives the winter by waiting, by conserving its resources, having built them up during the spring and the summer. And it waits patiently. There's this law of gestation, to wait for that which will grow. It takes time. And it takes a certain amount of time. We never really know what that is. It's based on a bunch of things, like how much we're invested and how much we're taking action and how much we are able to persistently move forward. But this tulip waits, and then spring comes and the conditions change. And the signs and signals of growth are there. And it grows. And it first comes with just a little bulb with the little leaves. And then they grow bigger and bigger, and they collect the sunlight, and they collect the energy, and then the stalk, and then eventually the bloom, the little bud, and then, of course, this beautiful red tulip. And they smelled really, really good this year. So they gave the gift of fragrance, and of course attracted some bees. And now they've been blooming a couple weeks, and now their petals are falling off. And they don't look so wonderful because everything has its season and there's a cycle. When you're in the middle of the season and the cycle and you don't yet know where it's going to go or how long it's going to last, it's really, really hard to know that this is a season and it will pass. It's really, really hard to know, okay, the next thing will come and it will be okay. And yet it is exactly that kind of long-term thinking that we are being called to do right now. If we want to really develop this idea of hope and resilience in a time of calamity, we have to develop the long-term view. We have to act in the short term with the long term in mind. The tulip doesn't wait for winter to come to decide it needs energy. It did that in the spring and the summer, and it's built in by design in this beautiful system. The tulip's not actually thinking about that. It doesn't have the possibility to think. We, as humans, have the possibility to think. So navigating our thinking so that we can know. And in fact, that's something we talked about a while ago. I'm trying to find my notes here. Yeah. Standing guard at the portal of your own mind. We can do that on a daily basis. Sometimes it has to be readjusted. I had some really rough days this last couple of weeks, and I'm sure you may have too. And it's okay, because we're in a season of growth. And we will get to the place where it will be blossoming. And some of us may already be feeling that expansion and growth and blossoming. And we will be able to shine for the world to see in our moment. And there will still be storms. And there will still be problems. And there will still be change. The tulip weathers the storm and welcomes it because it brings the nourishing rain. How can you stand guard at your beautiful tulip of a mind and ask yourself, what possible good is there for it, for me? Where's the nourishing rain in all of this? How can I use it to grow deeper roots in all of this? This is how the fundamentals of becoming more resilient, because you're able to use even what seems like bad on the surface for something bigger, better over the long term. So take away the charge. If you're feeling really angry, feel the anger and then let it go. But don't look at the problem and say, this problem is my anger and my anger is this problem. If you're feeling really down and depressed, feel it for a minute and then let it go. It's okay. The storm is here to teach us. And yet, what if we could neutralize that a little bit? Look at that. I feel angry. I have anger, but I am not my anger. Look at that. I feel down. I feel depressed. I feel stressed. But I am not my stress, and I'm not my anger or my depression, my down feeling, my heaviness, right? I'm really in a season, and it will not last. If I can endure it without having that connection to it, that attachment, now I'm beginning to shift into becoming the eye of the storm and starting to tame myself, the chaos that is myself, so that I can be more like the tulip and welcoming the storm. I just thought that was a beautiful image from my garden this past week that I wanted to share with you. So let's talk about a couple more things that I have prepared. Let's talk about this idea right here. This idea from Buckminster Fuller, one of my favorite scientists in the world. And he said, oops, let's try that again. He said, you never change things by fighting the existing reality. Let's think about our story of the tulip just now. To change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. This is really important to hear, my brave thinkers, my standing firm folks. You never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. So if we're going to move forward with hope and resilience and clarity, which is what I designed this lesson to talk about today as we're talking about reopening the country, we need to remember this. There is no going back. There is only going forward. We cannot fight the existing reality. We cannot deny the facts. We cannot just beat our way and bash our way into making things fit the way we think they should fit. There are people trying to do that. There are people going into fight mode, protest mode. And while we have the gift of free speech in America to do that, thank goodness, we also have to recognize that in order to change something, we have to build a new model that makes the old obsolete. Thomas Edison was a master of this. He did not set out to change the world because I'm going to invent the light bulb. His diary, his journal shows, it's at the Smithsonian if you ever get there in Washington, D.C. to look at it. In his own writing, he says, I will create a system of illumination that will completely remove our reliance on kerosene, gas, fire, basically. I don't remember exactly how he worded it now, but it's something like that. I will create a system of, of illumination that will completely remove our reliance on existing methods. He didn't set out to just create the light bulb. He set out to create a system. And how we have electricity today and the wiring and all the things that had to go into it to make it work, the infrastructure that had to be go from a country that was based on candlelight, basically, to being wired together to be able to bring electricity to everyone, every household. Took some time, but it happened. That is what it looks like to create a model that removes the old and makes it obsolete. We are in such a moment. We are in such a moment. The pandemic has shifted us and created opportunity, and we will move forward by only creating a new model for what we want life to look like going forward. A new model for what do we do after this. There is no reason that we should ever, as a humanity on a global scale, really have to go through something like this again unless we are not paying attention, unless we do not make the changes, unless we do not make the shifts, unless we don't pay attention to what scientists are saying and invest in the right systems, right? The right infrastructure. There's so much learning going on. And we could have done it before. We could have known to do it. And maybe we should have done it. But we didn't because it's very hard. Humans are wired for present gratification over the long-term view. It's just how we're wired. But we also have to have the long-term view. And that's our evolution. So what do you really want? If you want clarity moving forward, if you want to look to the future with hope and resilience, don't fight the existing reality. Use the circumstances now to begin to think and dream and create something bigger, better, bolder, so that we can have a new model that makes the existing way of doing things obsolete. Let's listen to Buckminster Fuller and use it as our inspiration today. So, what else can we learn today? How are you going to apply that today? Go ahead and put that in the chat box. I mean, or the comments below. I would love to be able to have some comments on the screen and be able to share with you guys, because there's really a lot going on here. So last week when I came to you, I was in the middle of some turbulence on the ride. I was in the middle of some storm happening, and it was creating a bit of a bumpy day. And I apologize for those of you who were looking forward to coming at a certain hour and then missed me. I did come later in the day, and it was cut short because I had things coming at me. There was a lot of stuff going on, some new evolving situations and problems, some of which has been resolved and some of which I'm still dealing with. But I shared in that moment this because I thought it was worth bringing up again today. This is our moment. Think of it like we're in the fire being transformed into gold. The mold, we have to melt the ore down and harvest the good, and the refiner's fire to make the gold into the piece of jewelry or into the ring, into the item that we've envisioned in our mind. So we're going through a period of fire. And the other analogy here is that early on, I created a video, and several people have shared it. You can check it out. And it's about being the hero, because we've been talking about being on this hero journey, so it fits nicely. But being the hero in the middle of this coronavirus pandemic, being the hero as specifically a firefighter who puts the wildfire out. We still have to continue that, being the hero and putting the wildfire out by practicing our social distancing, by being smart about when and where we go places, even if the world is reopening, by using our mask, by washing our hands, by doing the things that epidemiologists and scientists and doctors are telling us, right? And in the middle of this journey, while we're dealing with this fire, we also have a fire that's happening within us. And all of this is together is the fire of the refinement process. Taking what was and refining it and turning it into gold. So Napoleon Hill said, if you find yourself lacking in persistence, this weakness may be remedied by building a stronger fire under your desires. So let's imagine we are trying to change the world. Let's imagine we are trying to change our own personal circumstances, master ourselves, master our family dynamics, master our relationships with the people we care about most and are perhaps stuck with the most. Master this going out into a brand new world that we have to still navigate some caution in. And we're trying to create something new. We're trying to not fight the existing reality, and we're trying to move forward by creating a model of a new reality. Let's talk about how to do that in a minute. In the meantime, we're going to find ourselves in moments of weakness, where it's hard, where it's difficult, where we get frustrated, where we get mad, where we get sad, where we get down, where we get stressed, where we're not our best. And that's part of the refiner's fire too. And if you're tempted to give up, even in the middle of the chaos last week, I was able to at least get this piece of the message out. My number one tip for navigating the storms of life and the sea changes that are all around us is don't give up. We may pivot, we may transform, we may turn the corner, we may do things differently, we may try, we may experiment, we may endeavor, but never, never, never give up. To wallow and weep is to go to where we are weakest. And I have spent days, not recently, but been tempted recently to give up for a moment. And that might be more of a sign of let's take a break than it is about giving up. Life is here. I have life. And as long as I have breath inside of me, there is no giving up. It breaks my heart when people give up. Either they give up out of frustration or fear or failure, just feeling like a failure. And they recede and they go into decline and default mode and numb themselves out at best. And at worst, they have mental health issues. And at the very, very worst, people take their own lives. And sometimes before that, they harm people they love, either physically, mentally, or emotionally. We can become the abuser by just being in a really bad place ourselves and being too tapped out. None of us mean to. And this is May 2020. This is Mental Health Awareness Month. So we must be aware of what's going on with our own personal mental health as well as those around us. We will come up against times, especially after 9, 10 weeks of being in a particular situation here with the global pandemic. And again, we still have a long way to go. There are economic changes and a long way to go in resolving all of these things that are coming up. So if you find yourself lacking in persistence, this weakness may be remedied by building a stronger fire under your desire. So why is this important to you? It is important because we all will hit moments of feeling like we want to give up. And this lacking persistence towards a particular dream, a goal, just getting through daily tasks, whatever level you're at. But know that it's just a moment of weakness. And we must continue to build a fire within us of desire, a fire that calls us forth, a fire that refines us and turns that which is muddy and mucky into gold. The pressure of our life can turn us into diamonds. Diamonds are, coal, they're carbon. But the pressure and the heat and the force on us, on that coal, on that carbon, realigns them atoms and the molecules until it forms a lattice work that is so hard. It's the hardest thing on earth that we know of. We have diamond cut blades on our saws with diamond chips because diamond is tough. Diamond is super strong. And it also has a capacity to actually conduct current. They're talking about making quantum computers with diamond dust. Isn't that crazy? We can actually transmit information and store information in these little crystals. So we're being refined. The pressure of this moment that will continue for many weeks yet is our opportunity to let it turn us into diamonds. Build a stronger fire under our desire. So that I go back to what Buckminster Fuller said, create a model of the reality you would really love. Create the model of the new world that makes the old way of doing things completely obsolete. And build a fire of desire under that. So that no matter what's going on around you, you can turn your mind to the season in which you're creating that. You can be the tulip that's blooming in your mind, even though all around you may look like winter. Does that make sense? So we're going to keep talking about that because I don't think you can talk about that too much. But in order to reopen yourself with resiliency, with clarity, and to have hope moving forward, I really encourage you to build a vision for yourself. Build a vision. Where are you going? What would you love? What would you like this world to look like? And dream big. Spend your time when you're doing the dishes or you're puttering with the project that you have at hand. Spend your time when you're going for a walk, letting thoughts mull over in your mind. What if? What if? What if things could be better? What if things could be different? What would better look like? What would different look like? You get to create that. Because ultimately, we are back in some ways in this conversation where we started 9-10 weeks ago. It's time to move from react into create. And there's a specific way of doing that. So I encourage you to go back and look at my earlier episode that I did that. I think it was like week 1, or it was the prologue episode. Move from react to create. What can you create as we go forward? How can you light a fire of desire under that so that you're able to move in a different direction or strengthen the direction you're already on? Because you want to be taming the chaos. You want to be using the storm to take you somewhere new. You want to have this experience, but not have the experience have you and completely take you down. Remember, you want to be this. You want to be this. You want to be the person endeavoring up the mountain and also offering the hand of help and the hand of hope to the next person. And I believe in you. I believe you are that. I believe you can be that and act and live and embody that. None of us will be perfect at it, but you can do that. Move from react to create. Build the roots you need now so that you can move into a whole new direction. Or, like I said, strengthen the one you're already on. So I have something here special to help you with that. I believe we are at that point now where it is necessary to really move ourselves powerfully into this phase that everyone's talking about of opening up. What season are we in? We are in a season of transformation. This is what I believe. And so I've created this concept and some specific steps to help you go forward. I'm calling it basically 20 days to turn the tide. This is a season of transformation, and we have the opportunity right now, right here, to turn crisis into courage, aspirations into action, and fear into fulfillment. This is our time now. We're talking about reopening, but let's reopen in a specific way, including not even minimizing in any way, but actually maybe maximizing how we're opening ourselves. So let's move ourselves into this by doing this 20 days to turn the tide. It's 20 days of actionable items, steps to take you going forward. And it's very simple because it is all about taking action. And I'm going to put this on the screen. There's a free download of my ebook, Leap into Action. You can go get that at bit.ly, Leap into Action 2020, and make sure you're using the capital letters because I think it makes a difference. And I want you to sign up for this 20-day experiment in which we will change how we think, change how we feel, change how we're acting, and have developed the clarity of vision to be able to move forward as we go through whatever's coming next. We will continue to have our standing firm conversations for a while yet, but what if we could have an even more powerful journey? I believe that's possible for each and every one of us. So along this way, we will plant the positive thought seeds that you need. We will be standing guard at the portal of your own mind, talking about that, having action steps to help you with that. We are working to build a stronger vision of ourselves. You are stronger than any condition we're dealing with. And you will come out of it with the practical application of doing what you can with what you have right now where you are. Because you are able to create, what good is coming out of this. So my goal is to have you really pivot from a time of crisis into a time of opportunity, because that's what we really want to be. We want to be open to opportunity. We're reopening ourselves, reopening our country, doing it with keeping the fire of desire really to go forward, to transform ourselves by not refusing the existing reality, but by modeling something new. And along the way, you will gain lots and lots of tools for transformation. So the goal here is that you just never give up. You actually create something new. So 20 days to turn the tide. There we go. Let's turn crisis. Let's pivot away from that. Crisis into courage, aspirations into action, and fear into fulfillment. And you can just sign up for that right there. Get that free download. And in doing so, I'll send you an email that confirms you would like to get the reminders every day for 20 days of the different steps. And you can pay attention to the Facebook page that I have also. Right here, I'll be posting day after day after day what's going on that day, a little short version of it. But get the ebook so you get the whole experience. And let's share. Let's go through this experience. Let's turn the tide. let's change the conversation of what it is we're dealing with. Let me check one more thing here before you. Yes, here we go. Here's the full story. So this is my way of giving back to the world, to do this 20-day challenge free. And the goal here is that it enables us to transform ourselves and our circumstances and have a vision to really carry ourselves forward. This is our season. This is a season of transformation. Let's be like the tulip and learn to turn the tide in our favor, using crisis to create the courage we need, taking our dreams, our hopes, our aspirations, and turning them into action, and really taking the things that stop us, the fear, the frustration, the failure, and turning that into fulfillment. I really believe this is a game changer. The time is now. Let's move from react into create. And the only way that's going to happen is by downloading this and changing ourselves somehow. So take this opportunity, 100% free. Take the next 20 days as the country begins to reopen yourself to opportunity, to reopen yourself to possibility, to take this ability you have to stand guard at your portal of your own mind and learn to be under pressure for the purpose of harvesting the good, to know that there is a diamond in the rough and you can create the next steps of what that diamond will look like. I really appreciate you being here with me. I hope that you have gathered something precious in the process, that you're learning to turn resilient, fear and frustration into things that are more positive, so that we can turn the corner here. Let's turn the corner together. And I think we can do it. I think we really can. It's not going to happen by accident. And if it does, then we didn't do it right. We really want to be doing it in a way that is powerful and potent and full of potential and possibility. So if we're moving forward with clarity and confidence, there is something to remember. Confidence is really a decision. You won't earn it. It will just come when you decide to have it. My mentor, Mary Morrissey, put that on her Facebook page or something recently, and I thought it was so brilliant. Confidence is a decision. Clarity, you can put clarity in there. Clarity is a decision. It's not something that just comes automatically, but it will come when you decide to have it. So let's use this moment to decide, to draw a line in the sand, to look at what's creating the tizzy whirlwindness of the life we're living today, and begin to grow ourselves through the process and build something bigger and better. And I really believe the way to do that today, the easiest way to do that, is to simply sign up for this next 20 days of exciting challenge. We're going to be confronted with challenge anyway, so let's use it, harness it to transform us. So I invite you to come back to that idea that we are going to use the next 20 days to powerfully turn the tide so that things are moving in our favor. And you can do that just by downloading the action guide and following the steps that I've laid out for you, and staying tuned to this channel, because I'll be sharing every day a little something from here on out. Today's the day to get started. So thank you for joining me. I have been really pleased to be able to be a part of your life for these last few weeks. I will continue to come in and around the 10 o'clock hour for these Standing Firm When Your World is Shaking conversations. I will start to build some of these ideas in from the Turning the Tide challenge, but this is your time to use it as a season of transformation. And I want to remind you to share with other people this conversation so that people show up and we can get comments on the screen. It's a lot of fun when that happens. I'm looking for the link to get the reminder. There it is. So get the reminder when I'm going live, and you can be part of the conversation. If you're joining me later or you're joining me on the YouTube channel, you can watch all the archives there. This is my YouTube channel. Leave me a comment. I would love to hear from you. I'd love to hear what resonated, what didn't, what questions you have, where you're struggling, how you're doing. We are here to be connected and to stand firm with each other and for each other. And I would love to hear what your learning moments are from the 20-day challenge as well. So with that said, I look forward to seeing you next week. I look forward to having you join us during the challenge so that we can really use this season of transformation for all the gifts that it came to give us and really grow ourselves powerfully. I apologize. I'm looking at my notes here, trying to pull up the right images for you. But this is it. This is our time. Thanks for being here. I look forward to seeing you next week. Sign up in the bit.ly Leap into Action 2020. Let's get these next 20 days rolling and rolling powerfully. And let's do this in a way that's going to make a difference for everybody. Invite some people to join you. Invite some people to be a part of this process. And let's have fun with it. Let's turn our confidence into something even more, because this is what we want to be. We want to be this. Let's stand firm for that tulip part of us that wants to grow and wants to be full of hope and resilience. And let's start to build some clarity and take the action in that clarity as a result. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out and email me. I love hearing from you. If it's not from comments, then from email. 1 second. Where's my email? There it is. So go ahead and email me. And then you can be even more a part of the conversation. And let me know what it is you need. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Stand firm for the world that you would really love to create, not just the world you're dealing with. Let's listen to what Buckminster Fuller was saying. Let's not resist the reality and fight the reality we're in, but use this time to create a model for a whole new existence that makes the old one obsolete. And therein lies the power. So I'll see you next week for Standing Firm When Your World is Shaking in the 10 o'clock hour Eastern Time. If you have questions, well, give me a ring, leave me a comment, and be sure to sign up for reminders at bit.ly, go live reminder SF, so that you can get live show reminders and even become a part of the show in some way. And that's all for now. Stay safe, stay healthy, and definitely stay hopeful.